Yo, what's up with y'all, man? I hope you're doing good. If you're new and you're a fan of the NBA, subscribe to this channel. So let's get straight into it.
It's like it's Minute-Maid, hijack 4, renegade, 24, number 8, Kobe shit fade away, ballin' since 11th grade, still in school, let them hate.
Okay, I hear y'all. Y'all showed hella love last video, so I gotta do what's right and continue this vibe-worthy series. Part 2 is on your way very soon, but before we get into that, I want you to go ahead and check out the Evolve channel, because my very first one-on-one basketball game takes place over there, and it was a great one too. And also, I heavily suggest that you subscribe to the Rusty and Mojo show, and watch the newest podcast episode featuring King of the Fourth Quarter, aka one of your favorite YouTubers. And just hold your brakes for a second, but I'ma also need you to follow me on Instagram and DM me, send me a kind message, let's talk about basketball, because I ain't gonna lie bro, I be getting real lonely sometimes. So go ahead and do all that so I can get into my bag and provide you guys all this great entertainment. By far, one of the most confusing players to judge and scout is James Wiseman. You're either going to run into someone who's infatuated with his size and athleticism and thinks that he could be the NBA's next big thing, or you'll meet someone who thinks that he's an overrated scrub who hasn't done anything to prove his worthiness. So many people are torn over James Wiseman because, for one, the most important thing that has to be noted is that this man right here just 2-3 years ago was the poster boy for this 2020 NBA draft class. And he was viewed as a transcendent big man, the Anthony Davis type. He was compared to him for the longest time. But after just a few games at Memphis, those comparisons died down hella quick. They vanished and they went Houdini. And these days, in this year, 2020, he's getting comparisons to this guy right here.
Yo, show me the speed one time. Show me the speed. You look fast.
Pain, bro, that's disrespectful as hell. I mean, no disrespect to Hassan Whiteside, he's a good player and all that, but bro, to Wiseman? James Wiseman? But anyways, over time, I've personally been down, like pretty down, and also up on him, and currently as we speak right now, I'm going up on Wiseman. Now when I say that with as much positivity as possible. From what I see and what jumped out of my screen whenever I watch him play basketball is that he is very athletic and he can also move on the court, at least offensively. Now his defense is in question, but with the right team, with the right mentors, and the right environment, he can actually be a positive on the end of the court too. Another thing that gets my hopes up for him as a prospect thriving into the NBA is his jump shot. It's not screwed at all for a big man, which is semi-rare these days. And that's a very encouraging sign to see him possibly develop into a mid-range shooter one day, or maybe even a three-point shooter, a stretch five, which definitely saves his tail and makes him more of an interesting prospect. One of my main concerns with James Wiseman personally is his defense. Bigs who aren't good at defense and don't stand out offensively are virtually useless in today's NBA. Now don't get me wrong, he is quicker than most centers, but not quick enough to put him in rare air or even make him seem like an outlier. With that being said, through hours and hours of contemplating who his comparison is, I finally got it, and it is DeAndre Jordan in his prime. DeAndre's stride and athleticism caught a lot of defenses off guard, which made him a great pick and roll partner. Now that comp isn't perfect because we all know that outside of pick and roll and catching lobs, DeAndre Jordan offensively is useful, and Wiseman is considerably more skilled than him at that end of the floor. As I dove deeper into James Wiseman and looked into the more serious games that he's played throughout his career, I noticed that during his first 3 and last 3 college games, he shot 85%, 69%, and 66% from the free throw line. Now that is a very small circumstance and we can't really grasp how good of a shooter he is. But during his time being a part of the IBL, he shot 55% from the free throw line on 21 attempts per game. That is a good circumstance right there. Did I just say, what did I just, wow. You know what I meant, let's just act like I never said that. But because of that and his okay ability to dribble the ball as a left-handed player, I'm comparing him to Marvin Bagley. A Marvin Bagley who is a lot less mobile and has way less ball handling skills. Yeah, that's him. That's James Wiseman's comparison. We've been on this case for long enough now. Let's move on to the next prospect. So one of the more popular players out of this draft class has been the 6'9", 220-pound power forward out of Dayton, Obi Toppin. I remember him getting a lot of love and hype throughout the college season. In fact, so much hype that at a certain point in time, he is viewed as a potential top 3 pick, which isn't right to me at all. Now, I'm not saying that Obi Toppin isn't a nice player. He actually is. But he isn't a player to build your future around simply because of the major warning signs that his game has given off. He reeks of good role player vibes instead of star player vibes. He is athletic, but he's not laterally gifted enough for him to have much of an impact on defense. Obi is fun to watch. He's a nice complementary piece, but he is not no game changer or franchise saver. There may be only 1, 2, or max 3 3 of those in this year's draft. And I'm sorry to say for fans and lottery teams who have aspirations of him becoming more than that, but he's just not. He's not, at least in mile 9. Obi isn't a reliable creator in any form in general, and you shouldn't expect him to maneuver through defenses himself either. That's just simply not his game. He needs to be set up for most of his buckets. I'd say that post play is more of his forte. Just watching highlights of him though won't show you that. But back to the focus of the video. Obi's weaknesses on the court is what's capping off his potential as a 4 in this league. He can't create, defend, or even rebound well enough for his size. And if you're asking me, that just doesn't sound like a very valuable basketball player. It has good value, but it's not high. I don't know how many of you would take this because this specific player is pretty controversial, because just a few years ago he was made out to be fire, and these days he's looking like a bum, or at least pre-bubble NBA. But anyways, back to the point. Obi Toppin has similar size, strengths, and weaknesses on the court as Kyle Kuzma. The main differences between the two was that Kyle Kuzma is a bit more perimeter oriented, and here's how I was able to make that connection. In the right system, these two could be 20-point scorers and actually good valued players, but it just has to be in the right system. It's really hard to fit around the loopholes that these guys have in their game. All I'm saying is that don't let the hype get into your head to think that this man is a star, just like people let it get into their heads about Kyle Kuzma. He's a compliment, the condiment, the steak sauce to the steak. One of the more underrated and undervalued lottery level players out of this class is Killian Hayes. He's a top 4 talent that may be taken towards the end of the lottery rather than towards the top because of the lack of notoriety. Killian is easily the most complete PG in the lottery who has the least amount of major concerns. There's not much holding back his potential in the NBA. That's something that I cannot say about someone like a LaMelo Ball, whose shooting is slick, scary, and also his defense is kinda iffy. And then there's guys like Tyrese Halliburton, who is super solid but doesn't come off whatsoever as a star. In part 1 of my comparisons video, if you missed it, go ahead and check it out. I compared this man Tyrese Halliburton to Malcolm Brogdon. Nobody has ever called Malcolm Brogdon a star in his life, at least in the NBA. Killian's ceiling is much higher than someone like Tyrese in my opinion. Some lucky team is gonna get a steal if he falls out of the first 4 pick. Killian, the 6'5" skilled guard, is already a great passer who damn near has elite court vision. And along with that, he's also a pretty good scorer. He has that also pretty and luscious and beautiful step back 3 as a left. He has that type of craftiness within the 3-point line. I love everything about Killian Hayes' game. I ain't gonna lie, I'm declaring myself as a Killian Hayes stan in this draft. Wherever he goes, I low-key go. With the direction the NBA is headed towards, it suggests that he has a pretty strong chance to build one of the best careers out of his class. Because of his size, playmaking, good shooting, craftiness, defensive playmaking, and versatility, he can get comparisons to a guy like Mike Conley. But that's kind of basic, boring, and easy to guess because, bro, he's left-handed. It's really easy to envision a left-handed player. You like to correlate left-handed players to left-handed players. I'm taking this a step further, and I'm going to say that his comparison is Drew Holiday. Just imagine if Drew Holiday was a left-handed basketball player. That's him in my mind. Now, these type of guards are going to be what's hot in the NBA very soon. Drew is a guard who has the ability to be a lead ball handler, but also can fall back if necessary and become the secondary ball handler while asserting himself more aggressively on offense. Now, I do not think that Killian is as tough as a defensive player as Drew Holiday, especially not right now. But his versatility and awareness on the court gives me Drew vibe. He can play the 1 spot or 2 spot on any given night and he'll be perfectly fine. It just depends on who his co-partner is. Now, one of the biggest lies that I feel like has been told about Killian Hayes is that he's not a good athlete at all. That is a lot. Now, he doesn't come off as an ultra athlete who has stupid quickness and has hella bounce. No, that's not him, but he's definitely not below average as an athlete. I can see Killian at minimum being a borderline all-star type player, just like Drew Holiday has been basically his entire career. He's in the same vein, he's in the same caliber as Drew Holiday, but don't be a sheep and fall asleep on him like the rest in the NBA draft. Onyeka Okoro, Big O, is the only big man in this lottery who's more of a sure thing. There is no way in hell that he isn't a productive NBA player. He has all the great characteristics of what it takes to become a great big in the NBA today. His defense and rim protection is already there as a prospect. He actually has a promising free throw percentage, which could equate him to expanding his range one day in the NBA. He's a real athlete who has some bounce to him and can actually move. What he is not, though, is a scorer you can base your entire offense around. His impact will be more so felt in the defensive end. He'll put it all together. Big O, in my personal opinion, has the highest chance of being the best big out of his class. He's as solid as they get. Now, because of how he's built and how he moves in his play style, when I be watching this man play, sometimes I get glimpses of Montrezl Harrell. Other nights when I watch him play, he looks like a Clint Capella. Just 4 to 5 months ago, I compared this man to Bam Adebayo. And last night, before I finalized the script, he reminded me of a peak Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson before he got on to the drama. Back in the good old days when you actually heard more about him on on the court rather than off the court. If I was a mad scientist and wanted to create a prospect exactly like Big O, I'd take all 3-4 of those names and mix it into one and create this man right here. He's that good in my mind. I'd throw in some Clint, a dash of Bam Adebayo, a hint of Montrezl Harrell, and also a good amount of Tristan Thompson. Peak Tristan Thompson. It's very important to say that because Tristan Thompson right now is all those players that I named though are very useful and vital parts of their team's success. And literally all of them, no matter which way you organize them, are the best non-star big men in the NBA, except for Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson, I don't mean to believe, but bro, get it together. The last two players in this comp video is Isaac Okoro and Devin Vassell. These two prospects are similar but yet so different. They're at different points in their careers currently in terms of development, but can meet each other up later on down the road if things pan out in the future. Out of these two players right here, I believe that Isaac Okoro probably has more potential, but he's also way more of a risk in my mind because he has a lot more developing to do compared to someone like Devin Vassell, who seems like damn near a finished product out of college already. After staying up all night watching footage of him play basketball, he gave me JB vibes. Which JB? Jimmy Butler and Jaylen Brown. Both of those players are raw prospects just like him, were defenders and slashers with potential to be shooters and creators. That is Isaac Okoro. It took those two players several years to hit their ground running, and very well the same thing could be said about Isaac Okoro. Meanwhile, Vassell has the advantage. He's ahead of the race and he hit the ground running already. The question about him though is that just how fast can he be? How good can he be in the NBA? Devin Vassell is everything that you think a 3-and-D prospect should be, but so much more. In some ways, when I watch him play, he reminds me of Avery Bradley, but again, you gotta register in your mind that he's much more of a willing creator. What I'm about to say may be a reach, but I never ever compared this dude to anybody else in the NBA before, but it just may come true. Since he's so poised offensively and monstrous defensively, he just never forces it and just goes within the flow of the game and does the right thing. And he's also flashy, but in his own way. With all those characteristics taken into account, I ain't gonna lie, his comparison in my mind, if not Avery Bradley, then Kawhi Leonard. He can actually dribble the basketball and he's not afraid to make any moves, which doesn't limit his potential offensively. He can shoot, he's athletic, and he has great defense and long arms too. If he ever reaches his peak, he can be something like a Kawhi type in the NBA. This is the end of the video though, man. I really do appreciate you for coming over here on my channel today and watch me talk about basketball once again. That is hella dope of you. Now before you leave, I want you to do 3 things, maybe 4. Go ahead and subscribe to the Evolve channel. Go ahead and check out the newest episode of the Rusty and Mojo show right there. And also I'm gonna need you to follow me on Instagram. Y'all been slacking recently. I haven't gotten any new DMs, or at least not a bunch of new DMs. And I'm gonna need you to make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe. Yeah, really share this video. And above all that, I want you to make sure that you have a great day. I'll get right with you.
No way, remember back when I couldn't get a play, no home, I ain't have a place to stay, I got to work, made it certain free the way, told my girl who'd ever thought.